All right, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's availabilities. We've now been joined by Josh Berry, driver of the number 21 Wood Brothers Racing Ford. I am going to go ahead and throw it to the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we will get a wireless mic to you. We're going to start with Shane in the middle.
Hey Josh, Shane Connick from the Charlotte Observer. So is the Wood Brothers come here to Martinsville in this anniversary year? How cool is it for you to just be a part of this team as it hits this anniversary and you look toward the future?
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Obviously, seeing all the photos in the tunnel walking in here was really cool, and obviously they're really close by, so it's a home race for them. So we're going to try to do our best to have a good weekend.
We'll go to Bob next.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. 3 of the former SHR drivers are in the top 16 in points. What do you think it says about you all?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer, obviously, right? Like I don't want anybody to feel slighted, but yeah, I mean, we've had good starts to the season. Obviously, last year was a difficult ordeal to manage. And I mean, honestly, I feel like the place was falling down around us, right? Like we were just trying to do the best we could week in and week out. And for my team, Rodney, Ford team, I mean, I think they've been the cornerstone of that place for years. So, but yeah, no, without a doubt, I think we've all found good opportunities.
We're going to go to Jordan, Dustin, and then continue on.
Jordan Bianchi, Athletic. I know the two, Phoenix and Martinsville, are dissimilar, but there's still some similarities between the two. What do you take away from Phoenix that you apply here, and do you think what happened at Phoenix, where you had a great run, carries over?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I think that obviously the 21 car's been pretty solid here. Team Penske cars are always good here. I feel like we can carry that momentum. I mean, obviously love coming here. I feel like it should be a good opportunity for us. We can just keep on kind of doing what we've been doing and qualifying well on Saturdays and, stay up front in the race.
We'll go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. The forecast keeps changing, but there is the potential for some rain tomorrow, which could lead to wet weather tires. You finished third at New Hampshire last time on those. What are the challenges with the wet weather tires? And especially you're not going to get a chance to practice it today. So how do you look at preparing for tomorrow with dry tires and wet weather tires?
Yeah, I don't know. It's it was interesting last year when we did that at Richmond and New Hampshire. Honestly, all of our cars last year ran really well on the rain tires, which I don't know really why, but our cars was honestly more competitive on those tires than the tires we ran normally compared to the field. So I feel like I have a good feel of what I need to do. Obviously, just going to have to work with Miles and try to prepare for that scenario the best we can if it does come.
We're going to go to Lee next.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. Can you talk a little bit about your throwback scheme and how it came together for Darlington?
Yeah, no, it's a really cool story. Obviously, the Wood Brothers pitted Jim Clark's, Lotus, Ford-powered Lotus in the Indy 500. And that's what we're throwing back to because they obviously won the race. But it was really cool to hear the stories from Leonard about how much it meant to him. You think somebody that's been in NASCAR for 75 years and accomplished all these amazing things, for him to say that that moment was one of the most memorable that he's had in his entire life really puts into perspective how big of a moment it was. And there's a lot of ingenuity that the Wood Brothers brought to that team to speed up the pit stops. And Lynn and Eddie, they got all that down to like the seconds that they saved. They knew the story way better than me, but all in all, it's just a really cool deal. And it's Ford's first win in the Indy 500. So it's a lot of cool moments. We're excited for it.
We'll go in the middle.
Hey, Josh, Chris Weaver, Fox 8, WGHP, High Point, Next Star Media Group. Looking forward to Darlington one more time. How do you rate yourself there, and what do you expect out of yourself going into Darlington?
Yeah, I mean, Darlington's always a tough one. You can if you have a good car, you look like a hero. If you have a bad car, you don't, kind of thing, right? And last year I had 2 really good cars there, run really well. Obviously didn't get the finish we wanted in the Southern 500 with an accident there at the end. But, yeah, I feel good about it. We ran 3rd in the spring. Like I said, if we can translate some of what I learned last year and apply it to a 21 car, hopefully we have a good day.
We'll go to Steve next.
Steve Post, Motor Racing Network. Josh, you've had such good Saturdays. You're getting ready to go out and practice. What are you looking for in this practice? What's the game plan? What's the feel? What do you feel you want to accomplish in this practice to continue kind of that trend you've had on good Saturdays?
Yeah, I think not really overthink it. Honestly, the track's going to change a lot between the first group and the second group. The second group's going to be way slower with all the rubber on the track. So just making sure your car runs, turns well, can maneuver through the rubber, stay out of the rubber if you need to. And then, just kind of try to separate that from qualifying and, just go out and hit a good lap, right? So, I mean, one thing I love about coming here is I've been here a lot. I've made a lot of laps around this place compared to most places that we go. So, for me today, I think we just go out and do what we've been doing, not overthink it, and we'll be fine.
We're going to come up to the front.
Eric Johnson, WSLS NBC out of Roanoke. When you have success and you get a win early in the season, does that change the goals in terms of what you guys can work on, want to work on, and create new benchmarks that you want to try and achieve?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair way to put it. I feel like for me, I've never been a real goal setter, but obviously for the majority of the field, right, aside from a handful of guys that you wanted to call the favorites for the championship, whatever, their goal is to make the playoffs. So to accomplish that, hopefully, and barring anything crazy, is a big deal already. So that's a big positive for us. So I think now it's just about working together and getting better, staying competitive over the course of this summer. Yeah, and then just kind of see what happens when we make it to the playoffs, right? And just see if we, a lot of it comes down to just finishing and execution and being there at the end of the races, right? There's no reason why we can't advance, through a couple rounds of the playoffs.
We're going to go to Jermaine and then John Newby and then up front to Reed Spencer and then over there.
Josh, Jermaine Farrell, WFXR, Fox, CW in Roanoke. Sort of a 2-part question. What was your first impression when you got word, obviously, you're going to become the driver in the Wood Brothers car? Because a lot of iconic drivers have drove that car at 21. And what's the biggest piece of advice you've gotten from them as far as driving the car?
I mean, obviously, meeting with the Wood Brothers and beginning that process was something that was really cool. And they're just a great family. It's a family-run business, family race team. They've been around 75 years. Is really it's just truly amazing. What they've been able to do. So, I mean, I think to add my name as a driver for them and now a winner for them has been really special. And I'm just looking forward to keeping it going. Honestly, at this point, I think honestly they don't. They haven't given me a lot of advice yet, really. They just want me to go out and do what they know that I can do and why they hired me, and so far we've been doing a pretty decent job with that.
Thanks, sir.
Go ahead, John.
John Newby, Savage Ventures. So this is the the 3rd race on this tire setup. Bowman Gray earlier this year, Martinsville last fall. Do you kind of have a handle on what to expect with the differences in the track temperatures and just the atmospheric temperature?
So I don't know. I mean, I think that's a hard question to answer, I guess. But really, the reality of it is the best way I can say is like Martinsville at nighttime doesn't lay rubber. At daytime, it lays rubber, right? It don't matter what tire you got. We raced late model stocks all over the country, and we ran a Hoosier F45 at every track in the country, and it laid rubber during the day, and then as soon as it started cooling off, it stopped, right? So, I think if we have sun and good weather tomorrow, I think it'll lay a lot of rubber, which I think will help make the racing better, move the line around a little bit. Fortunately, I mean, if it stays kind of overcast, rainy type deal, then I think it'll be more like what we saw in the truck race, which was, you could tell, towards the end that it was just staying, the cars were super edgy, pace was really fast, there's no rubber on the track. So I think that it really just has much to do with the weather as it does the tire.
We'll go to Reed.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. In 2022, this race was shortened from 500 to 400 laps. The fall race stayed at 500. Do the different lengths dictate any different approach to the race that that affect you at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it really changes too much. Obviously, 400 or 500 laps is still a lot of laps here, right? So definitely, you know, the fall race is a little bit more of a grind from that aspect and a little more traditional length. But yeah, I think it's a good balance, and you know, I love running laps around this place. So how many ever they have, I'll hopefully be out there.
And then we'll go to our right.
David Meadows, Star News, Martinsville, Virginia. How does running in the late model here in the past help you get around here better in the Cup Series?
I think the biggest thing is just having the experience, really. You know, we came here and we'd get a test day and then obviously come back for the race. I mean, I've just ran way more laps here compared to a lot of the tracks that I go to. You know, we're in the Cup Series, you're racing guys that have been going to Homestead since, you know, the mid, 2005, 2006, however long, right? So it's like when you come here, I feel a little bit more at home just because I've been here a lot. So, yeah, a lot of great memories here. Love coming back here. You know, still that late model race. I keep looking at that picture in the back wall there of Phillip and Lee. Had some, just winning that race was a big moment for me.
We're going to come back up to Dustin for a follow-up.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Didn't get a chance to talk to you after last week's race. You talked me through what happened on pit road. And certainly, maybe it's more anecdotal, but it seems like there's a number of things kind of happening on pit road this year. This is another tight pit road. What are the challenges and what happened last week, and what do you guys have to do moving forward to avoid situations like that again?
Yeah, it was just really bad timing, I guess. We watched it all together Monday. Me and Joey and Paul, Miles, all of us, right? And I mean, it's hard to have a right or wrong move there. Obviously, I knew that I was 3, and then Joey left. Obviously, the first thing to do is I don't want to run into him, so I tried to move over, hoping we'd have a little bit more space, and we just didn't. So, looking back for me, I just think that I just gotta bail. Honestly, at that point, I just gotta stop and let Joey get out and just live to lose a couple spots and live with the result. I think these races are long. Our car was never the same. The toe was tweaked on it a little bit. The fender's all broken. It just never really. I thought we went from having a top 10 car to at best a 15th, 16th, 17th place car after that. So you just gotta live to fight another lap, really, and just bail on it.
How easy is that to say, though? I mean, that's giving up positions. I mean, again, this is a tight pit road. There's other tight pit roads you're going to face. I mean, you potentially going to face this again. So,
yeah.
I mean, we can talk right now, but when you're in the heat of the moment, is that really realistic to do?
It's hard. I mean, it's most definitely hard to do that, right? Because you're taking in a lot. When you're obviously trying to gauge the pace of your pit stop versus the cars around you, how fast their pit stop's going to be. You're looking in the camera to see what's coming behind. You're listening to your spotter. You're trying to do a lot of things at once. So it is hard in those scenarios, I think, sometimes to avoid it. I think for us, we were kind of Miles felt like we probably should have. I mean, we qualified second. Maybe we should have picked further down pit road to give we keep ourselves out of that kind of bottleneck that happens 3/4 of the way down. But yeah, there's it's definitely hard to avoid those situations. But ultimately, man, I mean, it's like I said, you end up the penalty's way worse when you're facing backwards and going all the way to last, right?
Thank you.
Any additional questions? All right, Josh, thanks for coming in. Good luck this weekend.